Welcome to Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine. I'm your host, Jill Jardine, Master's in Counseling Psychology, longtime astrologer, psychic healer, and yogi. In this episode, my guest is Isaac Mars. Isaac Mars is the first theoretical physicist in human history to publicly demystify the concepts of time, dark matter, dark energy, and consciousness itself. You'll want to stay tuned to hear what he has to say. Welcome to the episode featuring my guest, Isaac Mars. Isaac Mars is the first theoretical physicist in human history to publicly demystify the concepts of time, dark matter, dark energy, and consciousness itself. Isaac Mars is shattering obsolete paradigms with his new book, Unity Theory, the simple 77-page theory of everything that scientifically disqualifies all previous theories on reality mechanics such as quantum theory and materialist reductionism. Moreover, with the power of unity holodynamics, the cutting-edge science of reality, Isaac is spearheading a sovereignty movement with much success on behalf of the unity states of the world, in order to bring our human family together and liberate the people of this planet from slavery of every kind. You can reach Isaac at his website, thecrimsoneagle.com. Find him on Facebook at Isaac Mars, Instagram at The Crimson Eagle, YouTube at The Crimson Eagle. It is my honor and pleasure to introduce my guest today, Isaac Mars. Welcome, Isaac.
Thank you. It's such an honor to be on your show, and I'm so excited to share my energy with all of you today listening in on this. And for those of you that don't know about me, my name is Isaac Mars, and I'm a theoretical physicist of unity holodynamics. I wrote the book Unity Theory, which is the first theory of everything to solve for all of the necessary components of reality that we need and able to, in order to see the greater picture of reality. And by bringing the science to the world, we can help rapidly manifest the age of Aquarius by showing the people that inarguably science and spirituality are two sides of the same coin.
That's right, and I'm so glad you're doing this work, Isaac, because people need to be illuminated about what is unity theory and how everything is connected, and that there is this new science that is here and is active. And I can't wait till later in the episode when you're going to talk a little bit about your own experiences of living in this unity theory. But please share with my listeners a little bit about unity theory, how it may apply to them, how they can live in that reality and that consciousness and leave behind the matrix and other control mechanisms that are happening as well.
Unity theory is the universal natural intelligence theory of energetics. And it's specifically the theory of energetics because, as Nikola Tesla shared with the world, if you want to know the secrets to the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And the closer we look into what we call matter, we realize there's no such thing as matter, that everything is energy, frequency, and vibration. So what unity theory does is it takes these simple keys, these simple universal laws, for example, the fact that energy cannot be created nor destroyed, and it proves various concepts that spirituality has disclosed to the world over thousands of years. And interestingly enough, the first law of hermetics, the law of mentalism, is a key component in unity theory. And what the law of mentalism is the simple concept that everything in this universe, everything in reality, everything you're experiencing, quote-unquote, externally, and your own, quote-unquote, physical body, all of it exists only within the perception of our mind. So that means if I'm in your mind and you are in my mind, then we share the same mind, and that is the universal mind. And that is why I titled Unity Theory's actual theory as the universal natural intelligence theory of energetics, because that you and I, it creates all things and it is all things. And by becoming aware of that, we become aware of two sides to these polar energies, and that is the illusion of separation, which is the source of all suffering on the planet,
yes,
and the truth of unity. which is the answer to all suffering, the answer to all problems on the planet. And unity theory makes it crystal clear that these things could be no other way. By using symmetrical geometric logic, these concepts are as irrefutable as 3 + 6 = 9, which means at the end of the day, if you pick up unity theory and you're intelligent enough and you're open-minded enough to see things from a logical perspective and willing to let go of outdated beliefs that are simply just beliefs, there's no logic or science backing them, then any being with that perfect storm will immediately awaken, immediately have that red pill effect of the Matrix, in which they realize, oh my gosh, I've been living backwards my entire life. And this is why in the etymology of words in our free will universe, we have all these different clues. And what is it when we live backwards? Well, if you take the word live and spell it backwards, it's evil.
Oh, wow.
So this is how we've been living backwards. We've been using the illusion of separation to convince ourselves that we are all enemies and foreign people to each other, and we're strangers, and so we'd rather fight on our own than help each other survive. But when we look out in nature, what does the universe show us? It shows us cooperation. It shows us harmony. It shows us sacred geometry. And specifically, the more high vibrational we are, according to Dr. Emoto's work with water droplet crystals, the higher vibrational we are, the more crystalline, the more geometric and symmetrical we are. And that's because when you freeze a water droplet with high vibration prayers, then you can see it turn into a snowflake. But if you freeze a water droplet and you give it hatred and fear, or worse, you even ignore it and don't show it any attention, then that water droplet turns into a dysphoric, asymmetrical blob. And if you considered trying to build skyscrapers or large buildings with those materials, what would work better, the high vibe or the low vibe? Well, the answer is pretty clear. So when we start to live high vibe, then the water crystals within us, our blood, everything in our body, in our aura, raises in frequency. And the more that we are unconditionally loving to ourselves, first in our mind, and then unconditionally loving towards everything and everyone else as if it is us, because it quite literally is at the end of the day, then we will naturally align with what we would call heart-mind coherence. And this is a specific scientific study helmed by the Heart Math Institute of California, and they have proven through trial after trial that heart-mind coherence is the optimized, maximized state of the human being. And the only way that we can be in heart-mind coherence is by allowing our heart to be the leader over our brain or our mind. And that means to allow our emotion, our feeling, our femininity guide us through this journey of life, so that our masculine side, our ego, the personality that we are, can have the greatest, most fruitful experience. So as we enter this oneness with the all, we enter into harmony with it. And as we enter into harmony, we move with the flow of the universe rather than against it. And this is the intricate workings of our entire society en masse. The people in Sedona, the people in Mount Shasta, Hawaii, Austin, Texas, all these spiritual centers of the globe, they're living in the truth of unity for the most part. At least they're striving to. And in these communities, there's so much cohesion. There's so much happiness. And if you see the illusion of separation, for example, I spent some time recently in Las Vegas. The illusion of separation is so intense in these dense vibrational cities that people often are at each other's throats for no reason. But at the end of the day, what unity theory explains makes it all crystal clear. The only way that we could have free will, the linear experience of time, and for all of time to happen at once, which is irrefutably true because it's simply never not now, in order for these three key principles to be simultaneously true, there absolutely must be infinite realities, infinite timelines, infinite moments, which means that if you can imagine something, not only is it possible, it's just as real as this experience we're having right now. And that means that this experience itself is divine imagination of the universal mind. And when we can accept that and we can take that authority and that responsibility for our own creatorship back into our lives, then we start to alchemize, we start to experience the karma that we've had for, basically eternity up until this point in this character, in this body, and we can start transforming that energy to a higher frequency. And as we experience that karma, that low vibrational energy, and we start to see it with love, we start to see it with those higher vibrational energies, that's when we start to alchemize our life and things start to just fall into place. Because seriously, it's so simple. If there are infinite realities, then the choice is simple. Either high vibration or low vibration. Do you want to have a high vibrational experience of harmony and heaven on earth? Or do you want to have a low vibration experience of war and egoism and, being at each other's throats, for example?
I love this. Can I say a couple comments? Because
Absolutely.
I just want to tie this all together. This is unbelievable. I have a background in esoteric teachings, and so basically what I hear you saying, this unity consciousness is related to the universal mind, which actually Carl Jung, psychologist of the 20th century, called the anima mundi, or world soul. And he described it in, different terms, but you're basically saying the same thing. Also, you're referring to the vibration that we're carrying, whatever vibration, and that there's been the studies with the water. There's also the study of sound vibration of cymatics, that I've been working with that with people, of like literally through the gong and other techniques of sound healing, Sanskrit mantra being one that I'm initiated in. People change the resonance or the coherence of their cellular structure and even can clear DNA, which you spoke to that when you get the vibration. And, the heart math and the heart mind has done a lot of research on, bringing the love vibration in through chanting some of these. I know Krishna Das was part of that. He's a big kirtan guy. So I validate everything you've said because I've been seeing it. And the one other thing that I think is wild, how the divine feminine is coming into the planet, and you're saying that's the opposite of the ego, which is also the movement that's coming in on the planet. I have a question for you, Isaac, though. So a lot of what people don't understand, and maybe this is where you can help my listeners, that they want to create that reality, that heart-based reality. They want to be living in that. And again, it takes raising your vibration, and that there are many communities that are doing that. I'm living in one south of Boston where we have a very big musical and healing community, and we're off of the ocean, and I do believe we've raised the vibration here over the years. But so how can people, what I hear, everybody wants to know, how do you create this as your reality? What would you say about that?
So the answer is so simple that it will probably annoy a lot of people that are really, really curious about how to do that optimally. Because at the end of the day, it's based on one simple concept, which I call my spiritual compass. And that is to always choose unconditional love, first towards ourselves, in our own mind, and then towards everyone and everything else. I said it a little bit earlier, but saying it again is important and good, because that is the key. That is the only key. There is no other trick. There's no other secret. There's no way to bypass that. There's no way to, get out of jail free card. Everything that we are experiencing up until this now moment, we didn't remember, we had forgotten, but we chose it. So once we realize that we chose these things and we really take responsibility, again, that we are the universe creating this experience, then what does that look like? What does that feel like? Well, that means no victim mentality whatsoever.
Right.
That means hearing somebody that you love that is betraying you in a moment and saying the nastiest thing you've ever heard from them, and still seeing them with love, knowing that they're just teaching you about your own power. Knowing that at a higher dimensional level, their soul, their spirit is playing a role to be very, very convincing that they're evil or bad or whatever. But those things are just concepts. In truth, they are showing us unconditional love by playing a role that's so hard to play and so painful to play that only by playing that role can we even experience being the good guy or the hero. So when we can see the entire reality we're experiencing as our own subconscious mind, then we can see the people in our lives as our own thought forms that we created as God, Goddess, universe, source, whatever you resonate with. And when we take that responsibility back, every word that anybody ever says to us is precisely what we chose as the universe to experience. It can be no other way. And if you can walk forward with that awareness and perhaps even tap into the Triune Model, which is something that I have presented in my own way. It is a form of the Holy Trinity, the Father, the Mother, and the inner child, or the masculine, feminine, and inner child. However, it's not specific to me. I've noticed that other people have also received insights about the Triune Model. It's a universal energy. But in the Triune Model, we have the truth of unity at the top of this triangular A shape. It's not a full triangle, but at the top we have the truth of unity, and then down each wing of this triangular A shape, we have the shadow and the light. And it is that perceived separation of the all, which is that top node. And when we realize it's just a perceived separation, then we know there truly is no separation, that there is no light and dark, there is no good and bad. All of it is simply the all. It is love. It's what we may call undifferentiated love or neutral love. And then if you want to look at it from a different perception, then you could say that the higher in vibration or the faster the frequency, the more loving, the more unconditionally or universally loving we become. The more we go towards low vibration or fear, the more toxic we become, the more stuck in the illusion of vibration we become, and the more confusing things get. So, yeah, it's a very exciting time because now that we know that that's the clear path forward, all we need to do is surrender into it and have faith in both the spiritual and the scientific protection of the universe. And I don't know how to explain it other than I've been through some of the most unbelievable situations in my life. I've had an assassination attempt through poisoning when I tried to talk to Elon Musk in Austin, Texas in 2021. I had SWAT and police surrounding me in which they were threatening to open fire from all angles, and I told them they'd be killing an innocent man. When the officer yelled through my window, he said, "You better listen to me." Everything lit up in my being, and I said, "No, you listen to me." And in that moment, every single officer simultaneously lowered their weapons and were knocked back physically by an unseen force. And I was like, oh my gosh, I did that. Because I chose courage. I chose the higher vibration.
Right.
And per the other Hermetic law, or what I would call the universal law of perpetual transmutation of energy, every higher vibrational energy is innately more powerful than a low vibration energy. And this is how we play thumb war with ourselves. So if we are God, Goddess, we are one being, then winning a fight or winning in a game, that's like trying to have a thumb war with yourself. So we need to determine which side is going to win, the left or the right. Well, we determine that through the universal law of vibration, or that law I just mentioned, the law of perpetual transmutation of energy. And since we have that innate ability to always choose a higher vibrational option, if that's what we want to do, we can alchemize those lower vibrations. And basically, you can imagine it like we're sucking them up and then spitting them back out in a higher expression of energy. And when we do that, we are healing ourselves and the entire universe.
Isaac, I love what you're teaching people here today, your combination of scientific theory with spiritual truths. I just love that, you're bringing this forth. People need to hear this. You have an amazing mind, and I love the synthesis you're doing the integration. And I just want you to keep talking because I am getting lit up, and I feel that you are catalyzing people when you share this information. This is one of the way people are going to get activated and move into these higher vibrations when they hear these truths that you are speaking so eloquently. Have you ever wanted to study astrology? Do you know what your soul purpose is? Do you know what your gifts, talents, strengths, and weaknesses are? Do you want to find out? Everybody's talking about their chart. Now you can too. I'm offering a 6-module astrology course coming up in October 2023. You can go on my website, JillJardineAstrology.com, and register on my astrology course and join the cosmic party. One of the other things that you talk about, and I think maybe you've addressed it a bit, but is the unity holodynamics and how it is shattering obsolete paradigms. Can you speak a little bit to that?
Absolutely. So unity theory is the first edition. It's 1.0 of this perception, this perspective, I should say, on unity holodynamics. So unity holodynamics is the cutting-edge science of the modern age. It is the science that goes above and beyond materialist reductionism, which is mainstream science, particle science, and it goes above and beyond quantum theory by disqualifying quantum theory, by proving irrefutably, again, symmetrical geometric logic, that through the double-slit experiment, when an observer watches the light, the photon particles, go through one side and then have a different effect when they start to observe it, then what that says to us is that the photons themselves, one of the most infinitesimally small particles in our existence, that is responding to our consciousness. So what that means is that light itself, everything is made of, is consciousness. So if everything is consciousness, then there's no such thing as probability unless the consciousness creating the experience and that vibrational reality determines that probability exists. So what this looks like probability shifting. This is how we manifest. If there are infinite timelines, how do we switch to a different timeline? How do we use that free will? How do we become more successful? Well, we start to put our energy into shifting into another timeline. And the more we shift, the more our lives change.
So what else do you want to share about unity holodynamics?
Well, I definitely want to share that the word holodynamics specifically does not come from me and my work specifically. I am not the founder of Unity Holodynamics in a solo way. Holodynamics itself originally came from Dr. Victor Vernon Wolf's work, and you can actually look him up on the internet, the Vernon Wolf with, I believe, 2 L's, either 2 L's or 2 F's. And he's an amazing man. He lives near me in the Verde Valley in Arizona, and he read my book, and he said, well, unity theory is not a theory. It's a declaration. And furthermore, he described to me that unity theory, my book, before I ever even met him or came across his version of holodynamics, he said to me, Isaac, this is holodynamics. And he's absolutely right. Holodynamics means the whole dynamic, the whole show, what's going on, and how that every single part of this experience carries the whole dynamic within it. As Rumi said, we are not a drop in the ocean, we are the ocean in a drop. Interestingly enough, after I read Dr. Wolf's work and his original book called Holodynamics, I was able to see how his work directly correlated with my work. And I started to see unity theory as the left brain, masculine perspective of holodynamics, and the original holodynamics of Dr. Wolf is the right brain, the intuitive. he didn't know why things were happening the way they were happening until he started to investigate and continue to use trial and error with all these different clients, having all these interesting experiences with consciousness. And what we learn through holodynamics is that everyone is part of our holodynamic, meaning when we love people, when we see people, even that are in low vibration, in the highest light, we essentially unlock them as usable, beneficial characters in our consciousness. For those of us who don't unlock the characters or who don't potentialize or see them in the highest light, all of our characters, then they may often be abusive people or low vibrational people, because those holodynes or living holograms of those family members and friends and people in society that individual has integrated are all low vibrational, unpotentialized holodynes. So as we love the world, we become a walking one man or one woman army. And not only do we raise our vibration, but I really want to bring an emphasis to the growth of the vibration in the sense of like a larger energy. So when you walk into a building and you're vibrating the highest in the building, your aura is massive. I mean, there's a chance if it's like a small, event building that everybody is in your aura, like literally, which means you're healing everybody you're experiencing in that situation. So those are a few quick things about holodynamics, and I really thought that unity had to be brought into the picture somehow, and this is how we birthed the concept of unity holodynamics. It's largely my work and Dr. Victor Vernon Wolf's work that is the basis for unity holodynamics. To be clear, his work is separate from unity theory, but we do agree that this work needs to get out to the world. So any way that I can bring people to his work with holodynamics is a plus for all of us. And any people that come from holodynamics and that world into unity theory so that they can see the science that clearly describes how all these things work. I mean, it just makes everything so simple. We can surrender to it, we can let go, and we can trust in ourselves and our hearts.
Beautiful. Isaac, aside from all the science, the unity holodynamics, and the unity theory, you're working with some other projects. Would you like to share with our listeners?
Absolutely. So the number one project that I'm working on outside of disclosing the true science to the world is the sovereignty movement. And what people don't understand, and what's very, very important that I need to clarify for everybody listening, is that just like Neo in the movie The Matrix, which is a documentary explaining how this reality works, we all have a plug in the back of our neck energetically when we are born into this world, into this so-called matrix. And that plug is an energetic, spiritual / psychic agreement with this reality known as the Cesticav Act of 1666. That is CESTUIQUEVIE Act of 1666. And according to that act, all of us, when we are born onto this planet, we go through maritime law, through our birth process, which is a maritime phrase, and then we are brought in by the doctor, who is the man that is running the dock, which is a maritime phrase.
Wow.
Because we become a corporation, or rather, a corporation is created as a copy clone of our identity. And in that contract with the birth certificate and the social security card, and most nations on the planet that have all their own versions of the system, they're all tied to the same system. Why? Because the 1666 Act was put out by the Vatican, who claimed dominion over the world, and nobody batted an eyelash. Which means that they got dominion because, according to the universe, I know a lot of people may disagree hearing this, but according to the universe, silence is acceptance. If you don't stand up for yourself, if you don't say no, then you are allowing other people to transgress against your free will. So what this means is if we can figure out a way to fulfill this contract or revoke it, then we can regain that sovereignty. And that's what I do, is I take people through a process called the Live Life Claim. And this specific piece of paper fulfills the Cesticav Act by providing what the act requires, which is proof of life with living witnesses. And if you can provide proof of life with living witnesses and you fulfill this live life claim piece of paperwork, it is essentially, literally, unplugging that energetic cord from your neck, just like Neo in the Matrix, that has been siphoning your life force since the day of your birth, which caused you to lose millions to trillions of dollars worth of energy that you deserve. That was your energy. This is the only way that corporations can be as powerful as they are in running the world, because they are quite literally using all of us as batteries. And until we unplug ourselves from that system, we are taking every breath, every move we make, and we are actively supporting and perpetuating the system of suffering and slavery. Which means by choosing to revoke this contract, we are no longer considered a ward of the court and a ward of the state, which under legal definition, a ward is an incapacitated adult that cannot think for themselves. Therefore, they are legally giving their thinking power away to a governmental system. What is govern? To control. Mental, the mind. So by revoking this, or rather fulfilling it with this live life claim, we're no longer a ward, and we can legally contract. What does that mean? What do we mean legally contract? Anybody in a Cesticav trust is not authorized to contract. Do you know what that means?
No.
That means every time a police officer has put on a uniform and contracted with someone, if they weren't sovereign, they broke the law. Every time a judge has put on that gown and made decisions in a fictitious court of law, they have broken the law. The only way to uphold the corporate law of this world is to violate it, which means this entire system of governmental interactions with the people of this planet from the beginning, from its initial conception, has been designed for mental slavery. And everything that they've done has been to create us as their cattle so that they can keep feeding off of our energy, and they being, the rich elite that will be soon giving up their power so that those of us that came last can now come first, according to prophecy, and those that came first will come last now. Because this system will literally collapse under its own weight the second that we get a small percentage of our population sovereign. And upcoming, I have this really, really powerful video, and it is going to be called Scientific Sovereignty, Dismantling the Matrix with Unity Holodynamics. And this video is going to be the biggest smoking gun, I believe, in human history, because people will have to accept that in under an hour sitting, that they can see a clear explanation of how it all works, and one clear example of the corporate policy officers of Mount Shasta, California, unlawfully kidnapping me against my will in broad daylight with about 20 plus passerbys. Not a single man or woman did anything to help me. Not a single man or woman stopped them from inflicting pain from the most illegal, unlawful, and explicitly painful carry method. They just watched. At least somebody got it on camera for me. But the intention is to empower the people so much that none of our communities across this planet will allow such injustices any longer. And when we get to that point, we will finally start to use our unity consciousness to end injustice, to end corruption, to start holding these people accountable. And the thing is, we don't need to jump straight into a reality of anarchy. That's not what I'm calling for at all. What we need is we need the current people in these governmental systems to actually honor sovereignty. They can have their matrix if they want. We don't need to destroy it per se. All we need to do is create a better system that will naturally attract the people of the world to it, so that we can create a heavenly system rather than a hellish system. And before we know it, that outdated, obsolete system will just collapse under its own weight, because it's built on what? Low vibration. So that low vibration literally can't support that system any longer.
Right. And with the theory of infinite realities, that's just one reality that a lot of people have bought into, and then once people start disengaging from it, it's not going to have that energetic, and people are rising above and vibrating higher. I love that. So again, what is that red pill video called? Scientific Sovereignty? Can you tell little people how they're going to be able to get at that or access it?
Yes. So Scientific Sovereignty, Dismantling the Matrix with Unity Holodynamics, will be debuting next week, most likely on Monday. And if not, stay tuned and watch the channel Journey to Truth. I don't know if you've ever seen their podcast. They're amazing. But I'm going to be doing a debut video with them. And it's going to be really exciting, and then hopefully by October 10th, I will be releasing a new infographic titled Unity Theory 1.11, and my intent with that 4-page infographic is that anybody can copy it, clone it, distribute it, and you can do it physically, you can do it digitally, and the whole point is that in just 4 pages, the concepts of unity theory that we need to break out of the matrix, break out of our own mental prison, are on.
They'll be able to find that on thecrimsoneagle.com, your website?
Yes. However, this is going to be most likely over the next month or so. I keep trying to get all this work done, but there's just so much work to do,
Right. And where can people see you? I know you're going to be at some upcoming events. Where can people see you, give talks, and interact with you?
Absolutely. So the next big event that I'm absolutely going to be going to is called Stairway to the Stars, and that's by Disclosure Fest. And that's going to be at the Luxor Hotel the weekend of 11/11 this year in November. So I'll be promoting my work there. So if you can come out and say hi, hang out with me, and catch a few talks with some of the other amazing speakers, that would be really cool. And then I will also be speaking at Conscious Life Expo in LA in February of 2024. If any other events pop up, you can check out my upcoming events slot on my website, thecrimsoneagle.com. And if you are interested in reading my book, Unity Theory, it's only 77 pages. It's a very simple read using Occam's razor. And you can get that on my website for free or love donation, the PDF version. And if you really, really would like a tangible copy, you can order it from me through my email on my website. So it's going to be a really exciting year overall from this moment on into the next year, because we're going to start to see unity theory going mainstream. We're going to start to see sovereignty going mainstream. And before too long, I think we're going to start to see some biblical, prophetic events in the world eye very, very soon.
Well, Isaac Mars, thank you for sharing your genius on Cosmic Scene and all your offerings. It's been mind-blowing. I'm so glad that you were a guest on this episode. You shared so much. I'm hoping that my listeners have major consciousness shifts from all this information. I think they will. And you're a blessing to the world. So thank you so much for this information and for your energy.
Oh, thank you. That meant so much to me.
I hope you enjoyed this episode featuring my guest, Isaac Mars. Remember to subscribe, download, share, and give us a 5-star review. This is Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine, sending unity vibrations into the quantum field.